Okay, so in the last video, we talked about why you should want to be that person, which is basically being memorable by being a individual, which you spent the last however many years of your life trying not to be. My editor is going to be all like, we told you you can't cuss. And I'll be like, okay, but it's for veterans and you can bleep it out. Okay, so, and so how do you be that person? Well, you use storytelling, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So tell me a story. What do we mean by that? Well, if you're Neil Gaiman, story is anything that makes you ask what happened next. And, Neil Gaiman wrote American Gods and some really cool fantasy. All right, nerd. And I'll just jump straight into this example. Last year I was helping my buddy. He was applying to some business schools. And so we're working on his essays, and they were starting to look like, the prose version of the resume. And when you get into some of these business schools, you have some pretty stiff competition. So I said, we really need to stand out. And he was like, well, I don't have any stories. And I was like, no, you do. And so I tried to give him this very specific prompt and said, describe one specific event, right? Because I was trying to pigeonhole him into something. One specific event contained in a scene, right, that made you decide to go to Buds. I can remember there was there were a couple things, but one of them was my brother came back from his high school, or maybe it was my dad, with this book, with this Navy SEAL workout book, and there was a little intro, and I was like, oh, no way, there's real people doing that. So that could be a little story of how I came across that book and how it influenced me. But anyway, so I give this prompt to my buddy and, give him 10 minutes or something. And he comes back with this. Okay. As early as I can remember, I found myself entranced with heroes. Movies like Saving Private Ryan and Braveheart. Read through it yourself and see what stands out. See what stands out to you and makes you be like, okay, I kind of know this guy. And it's not enough to be like, dude was a Navy SEAL. There's a few different flavors of Navy SEALs. And then decide based on what you know about this guy whether you want to have a beer with him. Okay? And you can't just say, well, he's a Navy SEAL, he's probably cool. He might be a total douche. Okay? A lot of Navy SEAls are. I can say that. Okay. And so just do that, see what stands out to you, and then assuming you've done that, this is what I annotated. The gray stuff is all the stuff I don't give a shit about. Hopefully there was a little bleep and a fuzz out over my mouth. Okay, so for me, movies like Saving Private Ryan and Braveheart, I marked that. It's not the most Okay, we're coming back from a little cut because I just got a phone call and this gardener. Anyway, so this is what I grade out the stuff that I don't really give a shit about. I'm guessing my editor's bleeped over and put a fuzzy over my mouth. Okay, as early as I can remember, I found myself entranced by stories of okay, I'm not even going to read that. So Saving Private Ryan and Braveheart are a little bit interesting because I'm like, okay, these are some of his movie preferences. Dude's a Navy SEAL. It's not surprising. And I'm also, I'm 32, so I'm not going to be like, oh, no way, we have two movies that we share a common interest on? Not really, right? Powered by the dream of one day fighting alongside, I made it through. And that's kind of interesting because it's like, okay, yeah, this a little bit of motivation, a little bit of insight into mindset. I'll take that, but it's just, this kind of faded yellow. Then this idea that okay, while I was I had this sense of purpose and felt important. I marked that because there's a hint of maybe going again a little bit into the person, into the intimate, but there's not much there still. Everything else, if you read it carefully, is just a statement of truth. I found myself entranced by heroes. Okay, everybody has their heroes. As I grew older, many things changed, but those feelings remained. Many things changed, but some things stayed the same. All right. I joined the Navy and got orders to Buds. Okay, everybody who's a veteran joined some service and got orders to somewhere. As the years went on, and we have no idea how old this guy is, by the way, right? It's just the years go on from what age to what age, we don't know. I began to see things in a different lens. From what to what, right? Okay, yeah. Then Black Insiders is my favorite. The military has a way of glamorizing the work that it does. Also a very true thing. Okay, and if something you wrote looks like this, don't worry. I write things that look like this. Everybody does. It's not wrong. There are jump off points that you can take from this that will lead to things, and there might be some questions that this is a good answer for. But for the purposes of standing out and of being that person, we're going to dig in a little deeper. So the same buddy, I told him, look, I want a story. So it doesn't have to be long. Give it 100, 200 words, and start with this one time I was at whatever place, the drying cages, the boat, in boot camp, in the chow hall, and actually boot camp is not boot camp is a big place, but in the open bay barracks at boot camp, or on the obstacle course at boot camp, right? And I was a recruit, or I was getting yelled at, or whatever, and then take it from there. That's going to give you a story guaranteed. I'm not going to read this to you. Take a pause. Again, read it. Mark the things that stand out to you. And again, we'll see if we have the same taste. Okay, and this is what he got. I'm going to read it real quick if you're just like listening in your car. But pause it. Again, pause it and see if you can mark what stands out to you. Or if you're just listening, try to remember what stands out to you. Okay. This one time in Buds, again, that's SEAL training, I was doing drag races with my boat crew in the soft sand of Gator Beach. The instructors made it interesting by telling us it paid to be a winner. During our final race, which we won, the guy next to me, Jack Benson, screamed violently. After the race, I asked him what happened. He told me he had pushed himself so hard that he pooped in his pants. As the boat crew leader, I had to figure out something quickly so Jack didn't have to suffer in his soiled shorts. So, when the instructors asked me to report in, I screwed it up on purpose so they would send us to the surf. We then had to jump into the ocean, giving Jack the chance to clean his dirty pants. That was one of the first times I had to make a decisive decision as a leader and learn that a person can defecate from working out. If that doesn't get you into an Ivy League school, I don't know what will. And I tried to get him to use it, but he wouldn't. And I think it would have been great. He still got in, which is awesome. But okay, so if you paused it or if you were listening, well, you better have been listening. But if you're paying attention, I'm going to go over now what stood out to me. Okay, so there's drag races with my boat crew. So there's action, there's teamwork, right? So there's this like intensity of activity. The soft sand of Gator Beach, we get a location, get a sensation. We can probably picture the sand. So there's a lot of tangibility there. Saying it paid to be a winner. So that's a very specific phrasing that comes from there. It's in quotes in the text. So again, that's something that adds this very tangible detail. And dialogue is always great. If you can take out little sections of dialogue, which again we see, he pooped in his pants. Like, this is a character telling another character something. That's a hook. He screamed violently, right? And now we're picturing Jack Benson, big man in Navy SEAL training, screaming violently. And then you could say maybe soiled shorts too, suffering in soiled shorts. But then after the reporting in, we had to jump in the ocean, giving Jack the chance to clean his dirty pants. So again, this is in contrast to I was a good leader. This is an example of this person in action. And now, if you don't want to get a beer with this dude, I don't want to get a beer with you. All right? So that's just an example of how storytelling can work to your advantage, make you stand out, make you memorable, make you that person. Now, for you, your homework is same-ish thing. Tell me a story. Start with this one time at, give a location, okay, and a real location, not at my command, like in this room or on this field or in the Humvee, okay? I was doing something, whatever your role was. I was a sergeant, I was the recruit chief petty officer, I was the vehicle leader, I was the radio operator, or it can be an action, right? I was swabbing the deck, I was getting chewed out. And then what happened? Something did, and trust me, you have so many of these. And here I just threw together some words, some places, some actions, some objects, just to jog your memory for whatever it does. Boot camp, gear locker, right? The swamp near Camp Lejeune, the barbershop near Camp Lejeune, the gentleman's club near Camp Lejeune, right? Your sleeping bag, someone else's sleeping bag, buffer spring, all these things, whatever jogs your memory, and you're like, oh, I remember this one thing that happened there. Use it, write out a little story, 100 to 250 words, and in the next video, we're going to talk about how to keep improving on that, and after a few videos, we'll get to the first draft of your personal statement. So again, storytelling makes you that person, and scene has the power of tangibility. So tell me a story.